The cry for help that unleashed the power of Earth's military. HFY, Sci-Fi stories. In the vast reaches of the cosmos, there was a time when humanity was little more than a faint blip on the radar of the galactic powers. Earth, isolated and naive, had no idea how small and fragile it truly was in the grand expanse of the universe. But that was about to change. The story begins with an urgent transmission, one that cut through the quiet hum of interstellar space like a beacon. The message was short but devastating. "We are under attack. We are outnumbered and outgunned. Please, help us." It came from the Zather Coalition, a race of highly advanced beings who had once made contact with humanity as allies. The Zather were an ancient species with technology far beyond Earth's comprehension, and they had shared knowledge with Earth's brightest minds, hoping to build a peaceful alliance. But now, the Zather were facing an existential threat, an overwhelming force of alien invaders known as the Gorvak. The Gorvak were ruthless conquerors, known throughout the galaxy for their unrelenting militarism. They had decimated countless civilizations in their quest for domination. And now, they were bearing down on the Zather, intent on eradicating their species and seizing their advanced technology. At first, humanity hesitated. Earth was not yet a player on the galactic stage. Its military, though formidable in local conflicts, was no match for the galactic powers that ruled the stars. But the cry for help, one desperate and full of fear, stirred something deep within humanity. Commander Elena Carter, the head of Earth's United Space Forces, was among the first to receive the transmission. The weight of the moment hit her like a hammer. The Zather had shared their secrets, their knowledge, their wisdom. They had trusted humanity. Now, Earth's leaders had to decide, would they let their allies fall, or would they rise to the occasion? A message was sent, a single reply: "We are coming." The full force of Earth's military was mobilized. The response was swift, unexpected, and overwhelming. The United Space Forces, a coalition of Earth's finest military assets, sprang into action like a well-oiled machine. What followed was a dazzling display of humanity's ingenuity, resilience, and unyielding spirit. Humanity's warships, though smaller than most galactic vessels, were equipped with cutting-edge weaponry developed with Zather technology. Earth's military, no longer limited by their former boundaries, now possessed weapons capable of taking on even the most powerful alien fleets. The ships were sleek, fast, and deadly, with advanced AI systems, adaptive shielding, and devastating energy weapons that could obliterate entire fleets with a single shot. The first battle in deep space was nothing short of legendary. The Gorvak, expecting an easy victory, found themselves facing a force unlike anything they had encountered before. Earth's ships fought with a ferocity that stunned the invaders, each strike coming from a place of pure determination and defiance. Commander Carter led the charge from the flagship Resolute, her every decision decisive and swift, her leadership impeccable. But it wasn't just the technology that made the difference, it was humanity's spirit. The Zather had never witnessed anything like it before. The Gorvak had armies, but the humans had something far more powerful: the drive to protect what was theirs and to stand up against the impossible. The battle raged for days, each side throwing everything they had at each other. The Gorvak, with their overwhelming numbers, seemed to have the upper hand, but humanity's resolve never wavered. The Resolute led a daring charge into the heart of the Gorvak fleet, and against all odds, the tide began to turn. Earth's military had caught the Gorvak off guard in the most devastating way possible. They had underestimated humanity's potential for unity, sacrifice, and ingenuity. The Gorvak were relentless, but the humans were relentless and creative. When the Resolute took critical damage, Commander Carter refused to abandon her mission, ordering the crew to adapt the ship's systems on the fly to turn the tide of the battle. It was then that the unthinkable happened. The Gorvak forces, now suffering devastating losses, attempted to retreat, but the humans, knowing that this would not be the end, pursued them across the stars. Earth's military didn't just defend, they hunted the invaders down, chasing them across galactic territories. The Zather, who once believed themselves to be the pinnacle of civilization, watched in awe as humanity dismantled the Gorvak war machine with a precision and relentlessness they had never before seen. When the Gorvak were finally defeated, humanity's victory was absolute. Earth's military had done the impossible. They had turned the tide of a galactic war and saved an entire species. But even more importantly, they had shown the universe that humanity was not a race to be underestimated. Their cry for help had not only been answered, it had unleashed the might of Earth's military in a way no one could have predicted. The Zathar, in gratitude, pledged their loyalty to Earth. But it was not just the Zathar who took note of humanity's potential. Other civilizations began to look at Earth with new eyes, realizing that this small, seemingly fragile planet had the heart of a giant. From that moment forward, humanity was no longer seen as just another species on the edge of the galaxy. They were the species to reckon with. And the universe would never forget the cry for help that unleashed the power of Earth's military. The end. The aftermath, Earth's rise to galactic power. The dust had barely settled from the Gorvak defeat when the political ramifications began to ripple across the galaxy. Earth's actions had resonated across the cosmos, and what had started as a plea for help had transformed into something much more. Humanity, once an insignificant speck in the galaxy, now stood at the cusp of becoming one of the most powerful forces in known space. But the true weight of their victory was not just in the defeat of the Gorvak. It was in the messages sent to every corner of the galaxy. Earth had arrived, and Earth was not to be trifled with. Commander Elena Carter became a legend. Her leadership, resolve, and sheer brilliance in battle were studied by militaries across the stars. The United Space Forces expanded rapidly, now unified under Earth's banner and with new alliances formed with the Zathar and other grateful races. But even as Earth's military power grew, there was a darker side to the victory. A question lingered in the air, unspoken but felt by all: what happens next? The Gorvak had not been the only threat in the galaxy, nor were they likely to be the last. Other galactic powers, who had once viewed Earth with condescension or indifference, now began to take a closer look. The notion that humanity could rise so quickly to such a position of power was both inspiring and terrifying to many. One such power was the Varkale Empire, a race of beings known for their vast fleets, imperialistic ambitions, and strict hierarchy. They had ruled vast sections of the galaxy for millennia, unchallenged by any force. The Varkale were keenly aware of Earth's newfound strength and were determined to ensure that this new contender didn't upset the balance of power. A tense standoff quickly developed in the Outer Rim. As the Varkale deployed a massive fleet to Earth's borders, the message was clear: Earth's rise would be met with opposition, and if necessary, force. But humanity, emboldened by its victory, refused to be intimidated. The United Space Forces were ready. Earth's military had become more than just a fighting force, it was now a symbol of defiance and hope. The cry for help that had once brought Earth's military into the galactic fold was now the rallying cry for every human who believed in the power of their species. Diplomatic envoys were sent, but the Varkale were not interested in negotiations. They saw Earth as a growing threat to their dominion and could not afford to let a rival rise unchecked. War seemed inevitable. As tensions reached a boiling point, another surprise came. The Zathar, who had once been the ones to cry for help, had now become Earth's closest allies. They offered their technology, their ships, and their knowledge of the galaxy's power structures. Together, Earth and the Zathar began to build a new kind of alliance, one based on mutual respect and shared ambition. Then, just as the first shots were about to be fired in the Varkale-Earth conflict, something unexpected happened. A third faction, the mysterious Inari Syndicate, a rogue group of galactic mercenaries and exiles, intervened. They had no love for the Varkale, and they certainly had no interest in seeing humanity crushed before it could realize its potential. The Onari offered their services to Earth, an opportunity that could turn the tide of war. With the Onari on their side, Earth was no longer simply playing defense. The Resolute and other human vessels, now equipped with Zathar technology and bolstered by mercenary firepower, pushed back against the Varkale. A battle unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen erupted near Earth's borders. The Varkale had underestimated the ingenuity of humanity. Earth's military leaders adapted rapidly, finding new ways to outsmart their older, more established foes. Humanity's tactics were unconventional, bold, and, above all, unpredictable. Even with their superior numbers and technology, the Varkale found themselves caught off guard by Earth's willingness to take risks and think outside the box. As the war dragged on, Earth's forces struck a decisive blow against the Varkale fleet in the largest battle yet, a space engagement that lasted days and cost both sides dearly. In the end, the Varkale were forced to retreat, unable to continue their assault on a humanity that had proven it was not only capable of defending itself, but capable of winning. The aftermath of the Varkale conflict marked a turning point. Humanity had not only defended its home, but had secured its place among the stars. Earth was no longer a fledgling power, it was now a formidable military force, respected by both allies and enemies alike. But the victory came at a cost. Though Earth had emerged victorious, the war had left scars. The question of how to maintain their newfound power lingered, and the challenge of dealing with other rising powers was just beginning. The galaxy had taken notice, and Earth's leadership now faced an entirely new set of challenges: political intrigue, shifting alliances, and the pressure of maintaining peace in a galaxy that had no shortage of enemies. As Commander Elena Carter gazed out at the stars from the Resolute's command deck, she knew that the universe would never be the same. The cry for help that had begun it all had changed the fate of a species. But humanity's greatest test was yet to come, holding on to that power, and ensuring that their voice would echo through the galaxy for generations to come. The end, for now. The ascension of humanity, a galactic dawn. With the dust of the Varkale conflict settling, the galaxy found itself standing at the edge of a new era, one where humanity had firmly cemented its place as a galactic force to be reckoned with. But as Earth's military power grew, so did the complexities of its newfound position. The Galactic Assembly, a conglomerate of the most influential species and civilizations in the galaxy, had called for an emergency summit. A series of alliances, treaties, and covert deals had begun to form in response to Earth's rise, and now the galaxy's leaders needed to address the growing tension. Commander Elena Carter, now regarded as Earth's first ambassador general to the Galactic Assembly, was tasked with representing humanity's interests. Alongside her, the brightest minds from Earth and their Zathar allies formed a coalition of diplomats and strategists to ensure Earth's continued survival among the stars. But as Carter prepared for the summit, the true challenges of diplomacy began to unfold. The Galactic Summit. The Galactic Assembly was a sprawling, massive station located in neutral space. Its halls were lined with representatives from dozens of civilizations, all of whom had a vested interest in the galaxy's future. The most powerful factions, the Zelreth Dominion, the Aetherian Federation, and the enigmatic Drakthal Collective, had seats at the table, and their presence commanded respect. Earth's delegation arrived amidst whispers. The question on every mind was clear: what would Earth do now? Having defeated the Gorvak and sent the Varkale retreating, humanity had gone from a fledgling species to a military powerhouse. The Assembly's greatest concern was whether Earth would seek to expand its influence, or if it would remain neutral in the balance of galactic power. Commander Carter took the stage. The moment was heavy with anticipation. "I stand before you not as a conqueror," she began, her voice calm but resolute, "but as a representative of a species that has been through unimaginable odds to get here. We have fought, we have bled, and we have won, not because of our technology, but because of our spirit." A murmur of surprise rippled through the hall. Humanity was not just claiming power, it was offering something more, a philosophy. Carter continued, "We are not here to impose ourselves on the galaxy. We are here to contribute, to learn, and to build relationships with those who seek peace. But make no mistake, if anyone seeks to threaten our home, or the homes of those we care for, we will defend them, to the last." The words were met with a mixture of skepticism and admiration. For many, humanity's unrelenting drive to defend itself and its allies was both inspiring and threatening. The Galactic Assembly had faced no such power before, a species that had not only survived but thrived in the face of overwhelming adversity. The hidden enemy. Just as humanity's representatives began to take their seats, a disturbance was detected outside the station. The sensors of the Galactic Assembly's vast network detected an anomaly. A fleet, unlike any they had seen before, appeared on the edge of known space. The fleet was cloaked in shadows, and its ships were unlike any design in the galactic records. Commander Carter's team sprang into action, scrambling to access data from the Assembly's network. But the fleet remained silent, not responding to hails or any form of communication. "Who are they?" Carter demanded. A senior diplomat from the Zathar, Ambassador Klon, took a deep breath. I've never seen such ships. They are not of any known species, but their technology, it's unlike anything we've ever encountered. It's not just advanced, it's alien. The assembly was thrown into chaos. Was this a new threat, or an unknown faction seeking to make its presence known? The answer came sooner than anyone expected. The fleet began a slow, deliberate approach toward the station. Suddenly, a transmission pierced through the silence. The voice that came through was deep, low, and echoed with an unnatural force. We are the Vrekthal. The name sent a wave of shock through the hall. The Vrekthal were whispered about in the deepest corners of galactic history, the Lost Empire, a race thought to be extinct for eons. Their technology had been scattered and lost across the galaxy, and their empire was little more than a myth. Until now. Your world has awakened something that should have remained dormant. We are coming for Earth. The words hung in the air like a death sentence. The Vrekthal had returned, and they had no intention of negotiating. The last stand of humanity. The declaration sent shockwaves throughout the Galactic Assembly. What did this mean for Earth? The Vrekthal were not a species that made idle threats. The legends spoke of their overwhelming power, of fleets that could crush entire worlds, and of a race that once ruled the stars until they disappeared into myth. With the threat of the Vrekthal hanging over Earth's head, Commander Carter knew that diplomacy would not be enough. The summit turned into an emergency meeting, with every leader present scrambling to decide how to respond to the Vrekthal threat. It was clear that Earth would have to fight once again, and this time, they would face a force older and far more dangerous than anything they had encountered before. The United Space Forces, in collaboration with the Zathar, began to marshal their fleets, but this time, the battle would not be fought in the familiar realm of technology alone. The Vrekthal's mysterious abilities, their ancient power, and their unmatched weaponry presented a challenge that no one could predict. Commander Carter, standing at the helm of the Resolute, addressed her fleet. We do not know what the Vrekthal truly are, or what they want, but we do know this: we are Earth, and we do not back down from a fight. This time, we fight for our future, for our home, and for every species that believes in the power of freedom. The fleet surged forward into the unknown, with every soldier, every pilot, every member of humanity's military now united in their resolve. The cry for help that had once brought humanity into the galactic stage was now a battle cry for survival, as Earth faced its greatest challenge yet, the return of the Vrekthal. To be continued. The rise of the Vrekthal, Earth's ultimate test. The Vrekthal fleet moved forward with chilling precision, their ships gliding through space like specters of doom. The members of the Galactic Assembly who had once considered humanity a young and naive species now turned their attention toward Earth, unsure of whether humanity's unexpected rise would be enough to face the storm that was coming. The Vrekthal were no ordinary foes. The legends told of their empire, a civilization that had stretched across the stars, unchallenged for eons. But then, they vanished. Their disappearance was as sudden and unexplained as their rise had been. Now, as their fleets hovered outside Earth's borders, there was no doubt humanity was about to face an enemy unlike any it had ever known. Commander Elena Carter, once a beacon of hope in humanity's rise, now faced an existential question: could Earth survive an enemy so ancient, so powerful? And more importantly, would the galaxy unite to face the Vrekthal, or would Earth stand alone? The gathering storm. Days passed as the Vrekthal fleet moved closer to Earth. Every corner of the United Space Forces was mobilized, their ships bristling with weapons, shields, and cutting-edge technology. Earth's defenses were formidable, bolstered by the Zathar's gifts and the advancements they had shared. The Resolute, Carter's flagship, led the charge, its engines roaring with the anticipation of what was to come. But despite the strength Earth now wielded, there was a sense of unease that gripped Commander Carter. The Vrekthal had done something no one had anticipated. They didn't fire a single shot. They didn't demand immediate surrender. They simply waited. It was then that the first whisper of their power revealed itself. A single Vrekthal ship, its form sleek and metallic, broke away from the fleet and approached Earth's defenses. The ship appeared on the communications grid, its presence sending a wave of dread through the ranks of Earth's commanders. A voice, cold and deliberate, echoed across the channels. This is no negotiation. This is your reckoning. You cannot escape what has been set in motion." With those words, a terrible force ripped through Earth's outer defenses. The Vrekthal ship unleashed a pulse of energy so powerful that it disabled several of Earth's finest warships in a matter of seconds. It wasn't a weapon of mass destruction, but rather something more unsettling, an energy pulse that disrupted the very fabric of space around them, short-circuiting the advanced technology humanity had relied upon. The Resolute felt the shockwave, though it held firm. Yet, in that moment, Carter realized something. The Vrekthal didn't just possess power, they had mastery over the fundamental forces of the universe itself. The first battle. The attack was a warning, a signal that the Vrekthal didn't need to launch a conventional assault to conquer Earth. They had technology that could disable entire fleets with a mere thought. As Earth's military scrambled to regroup, Commander Carter took the bold step of engaging in direct combat. "What are we fighting for?" she thought, staring out at the fleet of Vrekthal ships gathering in the distance. "The future of our species. The freedom to choose our destiny. To ensure that no one, can dictate our fate." With grim determination, Earth's fleet moved into position. The first wave of Vrekthal ships, sleek and deadly, descended toward Earth's atmosphere. Their cloaking technology made them almost invisible, but humanity's newly upgraded sensors, using a combination of Zather and Onari tech, detected the incoming threat just in time. A battle like no other unfolded in the skies above Earth. The Vrekthal ships, sleek and biomechanical in design, fired bursts of energy that cracked space itself. Their weapons were not just physical, they seemed to warp the very fabric of reality, bending light and energy in ways humanity could not understand. Humanity's counterattack was fierce, and though the Vrekthal ships were powerful, Earth's military had something they lacked: tenacity. Earth's pilots, soldiers, and commanders fought with everything they had, each strike a testament to humanity's refusal to bow down in the face of impossible odds. But despite their valiant efforts, it was clear that the Vrekthal had the upper hand. As Earth's fleets took heavy losses, Commander Carter realized that this battle was just a prelude. They could not win this war with force alone. They needed to understand the Vrekthal, how they operated, what drove them, and how to exploit their weaknesses. She gathered her most trusted advisors, including Ambassador Klon, the Zather diplomat who had stood by humanity's side from the beginning. "We need more than just firepower," Carter said, her voice calm but heavy with the weight of the situation. "We need to know the Vrekthal. We need to find a way to strike at the heart of their power." Ambassador Klon nodded solemnly. "The Vrekthal are unlike anything you've faced. They were once masters of the universe, wielding control over space itself. But they disappeared for a reason. They knew something about themselves, something that was too dangerous even for them." Carter's mind raced. What could that knowledge be? And more importantly, could Earth uncover it before the Vrekthal wiped them from existence? A desperate gamble. The answer came from an unexpected source: the Onari Syndicate, the mercenary group that had aided Earth in the Varkale conflict, had unearthed ancient texts hidden in the ruins of a long-forgotten space station. These texts, once believed to be nothing more than myth, contained clues about the Vrekthal and their fall from power. It was in these texts that Earth's best scientists discovered something chilling. The Vrekthal had once held dominion over not just the galaxy, but reality itself. Their empire was built on harnessing the power of the cosmic fabric, the very force that held the universe together. But something had gone horribly wrong, and in their pursuit of absolute power, the Vrekthal had fractured the fabric of reality, causing their empire to collapse. It was their own arrogance that had led to their downfall, and now, it was humanity's only hope. With this newfound knowledge, Earth's military began to develop a new strategy. Instead of relying on brute force, they would target the Vrekthal's ability to manipulate reality, cutting off their access to this power and disrupting their control over space itself. The final confrontation. As Earth's military made its preparations, a final, desperate confrontation loomed. The Vrekthal had grown impatient. They had already begun their assault on Earth's most vulnerable cities. This was no longer just a fight for the stars, it was a fight for survival on Earth itself. Commander Carter knew the stakes had never been higher. With the information from the Onari and Zather, humanity had devised a plan to infiltrate the heart of the Vrekthal fleet. The key was to disrupt their technology, which operated on a level beyond conventional understanding. In a daring mission, Earth's finest soldiers and engineers boarded a Vrekthal flagship. Their objective clear: find the source of the Vrekthal's power and shut it down. The operation was perilous, and many didn't expect to make it back. As they reached the core of the flagship, Commander Carter found herself face to face with the heart of the Vrekthal's power, a massive, glowing nexus that pulsed with energy. It was a device that drew on the very fabric of space, manipulating reality as if it were clay. "This ends now," Carter whispered, her hand gripping the device that could stop it all. With one final, desperate push, she activated the device, sending a shockwave through the Vrekthal fleet. The rebirth of a new order. The Vrekthal defeat marked a turning point for Earth and its allies. The galaxy was forever altered by the clash of ancient power against humanity's indomitable spirit. But while Earth celebrated its victory, the true implications of the battle were just beginning to unfold. Commander Elena Carter, though lauded as a hero across the stars, knew that the war with the Vrekthal was only a symptom of a greater challenge: maintaining peace in a galaxy on the brink of transformation. The balance of power had shifted once more, but there were still many uncertainties ahead. Would the galaxy unite under a new order, or would old rivalries resurface, threatening the fragile peace? The Galactic Council. In the aftermath of the Vrekthal War, Earth found itself at the center of the most important galactic meeting ever convened. Representatives from every known faction gathered at the Galactic Council, a newly formed organization dedicated to preserving the peace that humanity had fought so hard to secure. The Zathar, the Onari, the Zelreth Dominion, the Aetherian Federation, and even the once mighty Varkale Empire, whose retreat had set the stage for Earth's rise, were now participants in the Council's deliberations. Commander Carter was appointed as Earth's primary representative, though she knew that her role would not be an easy one. There were many who resented Earth's rapid ascent to power, and many others who feared that humanity's drive for freedom could one day turn into expansionism. As the representatives filed into the Grand Chamber of the Galactic Council, Carter stood at the front, her hands clasped behind her back. The room was vast, filled with the leaders of countless worlds, and a heavy silence hung in the air. "We are gathered here today," she began, her voice calm but firm, "not just as separate species, but as a unified galaxy. We've faced the greatest threat we've ever known, and we stand victorious. Now, it is time for us to decide: will we build on this victory, or will we allow the same divisions and old grudges to tear us apart?" Her words rang out through the chamber, the weight of her statement settling over the assembled leaders. The Zathar ambassador Klon spoke next, his voice full of caution. "Humanity's rise has been remarkable, but we must ask ourselves, can we trust you? We all witnessed the tenacity with which Earth fought against the Vrekthal. But what happens when another threat arises? Will Earth still fight for the common good, or will it choose to conquer?" Carter met Klon's gaze, her eyes unwavering. "Earth fought for its survival, just as every other species here would. Our strength comes not from the desire to dominate, but from the desire to protect. We do not wish to rule the galaxy, we wish to share it. But we will not stand idle if the peace we fought for is threatened." There was a murmur in the room, a mixture of skepticism and admiration. The question of whether humanity could be trusted was not one that would be easily answered. But Carter's words were a step in the right direction. The galaxy had been united against a common enemy, but now, the true test would be in the unity of the races, forging a path forward together. The hidden threat. As the Council deliberated on matters of galactic security, a far more insidious force was quietly growing in the shadows, one that had been watching the rise of humanity with great interest. A new player had entered the galactic stage. Though few knew of its existence, they were known only by a whisper: the Shard. The Shard was an ancient collective intelligence, a network of machines that had once served as the backbone of an empire that spanned the galaxy eons ago. But the empire had collapsed, its creators long forgotten, and the Shard had been in hiding, watching, waiting, until the galaxy was weak enough to be manipulated. Unlike the Vrekthal, the Shard did not rely on physical might to dominate. Instead, it had mastered the art of subterfuge, infiltrating communication networks and corrupting minds through digital manipulation. Its influence was subtle, insidious, and it knew that humanity's rise had left a hole in the fabric of the galaxy's power structure, a hole that it could exploit. in the depths of the Galactic Council's deliberations, as the leaders argued over the future of the galaxy, the Shard's agents worked quietly, influencing the decisions of key individuals. Small factions began to splinter, old alliances started to crack, and murmurs of unrest began to spread. A new war, a new hope. It wasn't long before the first sign of the Shard's presence revealed itself. A fleet of ships, seemingly of human design, appeared on the outskirts of Earth's solar system. At first glance, they were nothing more than poorly maintained warships, but their behavior was erratic, too deliberate, too strategic, and their tactics were disjointed, as if they were being guided by something beyond the ships themselves. Commander Carter, alerted to the disturbance, quickly called for a fleet-wide alert. The Resolute was dispatched to investigate, and soon, Earth's fleet was face-to-face with an unprecedented threat, one that appeared to be mimicking Earth's own technology. But when the ships spoke, it was not a human voice that echoed across the comm channels. Instead, a cold, mechanical tone resonated through every speaker. "We are the Shard. We are the true inheritors of the galaxy. Your time has come to an end." The threat was unmistakable, but there was something different about the Shard's arrival. It wasn't an outright declaration of war. It was a calculated strike aimed at destabilizing Earth's military. The Shard had infiltrated the most secure systems of the United Space Forces, subtly manipulating the fleet's command structures, causing confusion and chaos. As Carter and her team fought to reassert control over their ships, the true scale of the Shard's power began to emerge. It had already gained access to critical infrastructure, rendering many of Earth's defensive systems useless. The Shard had come to dismantle the peace humanity had fought for. And this time, it wasn't just a physical battle. This was a war of minds, a battle for control of the very information that held the galaxy together. Carter knew that Earth could not face this enemy with force alone. They had to fight the Shard on its own terms, by cutting off its access to the galaxy's communication and data networks. It would require the help of all their allies, especially the Zather, whose knowledge of galactic networks could give humanity a fighting chance. The final decision. In the midst of the battle, Commander Carter was presented with an opportunity, a risky one. The Shard's influence was spread across the entire galaxy, but there was one place where its power could be severed, an ancient station buried deep in a forgotten corner of space, where the Shard's creators had once hidden their central control hub. With time running out and Earth's forces spread thin, Carter made a choice that would define humanity's future. She would lead a small but elite team to the station, the heart of the Shard's power, to sever its control over the galaxy and end the threat once and for all. But the mission was not without risk. If they failed, the Shard's influence would spread beyond Earth, and no one would be safe. To be continued. The heart of the Shard, a desperate gamble. Commander Elena Carter stood before the assembled team of Earth's finest soldiers and scientists, each one ready to embark on what might be their final mission. The galaxy was hanging by a thread, and only by striking at the heart of the Shard's influence could they hope to reclaim their future. "Listen up," Carter began, her voice steady but heavy with the gravity of their situation. "This mission is not going to be easy. The Shard has already infiltrated our networks, and we've seen what they can do. We're going to face an enemy that doesn't just have power, they control information. And through that, they can manipulate everything. We go to the core of their existence, and we sever their connection to the galaxy. If we don't, we risk losing everything." Her words hung in the air. The team, composed of elite soldiers, engineers, and cybernetic specialists, nodded in understanding. Some were veterans of past wars, others had joined the ranks after the Varkale conflict. But all shared a common resolve: Earth's survival depended on them. "We may not return from this," Carter continued, "but remember this, we're fighting for the future, not just of Earth, but for every species in the galaxy who values freedom. Whatever happens, we will not let the Shard claim this galaxy." The team's determination was palpable. Each member knew the stakes, but there was no time for fear. They had already been pushed to the brink, and now they had one final shot to turn the tide. The journey to the heart. The journey to the ancient station, the heart of the Shard's power, was long and treacherous. Located in a desolate sector of space, beyond the reaches of known charts, the station had been lost to time. It was here, in the depths of forgotten space, that the Shard's creators had hidden the core of their vast network. believing that the galaxy would never stumble upon it. But now, Earth's military forces, in alliance with the Zathar and the Onari, had uncovered its location. The Resolute led the expedition, flanked by a fleet of Earth's warships. As they traveled deeper into uncharted space, Carter stood on the bridge, watching as stars disappeared into the inky blackness. The farther they went, the less familiar everything became. "We've reached the edge," Lieutenant Arya Singh, a seasoned tactical officer, reported. "We're in the system. The station's coordinates are coming online now." "Good. Prepare for entry," Carter ordered. The station was cloaked, hidden from normal sensors, but they had developed a way to bypass its defenses. Earth's scientists, aided by the Zathar's knowledge of the shard's technology, had devised a method to lock onto the station's frequency. As the fleet approached, the station emerged from the void, a massive, monolithic structure that seemed to pulse with an unnatural energy. It was ancient, but its design was unlike anything Earth had ever seen, a blend of organic and mechanical, like a living thing. "This is it," Carter muttered under her breath, her eyes narrowing in resolve. Infiltrating the heart of the shard. As they neared the station, Carter and her team boarded a stealth shuttle that would take them to the station's surface. The fleet remained behind, maintaining a perimeter, ready to launch an all-out attack should the shard's forces engage. The shuttle descended through the atmosphere of the station, its engines humming with controlled precision. The surface of the station was desolate ruins of long-abandoned structures, their surfaces cracked and covered in a dark, oily residue. It was clear that the shard had once ruled from here, but now, it seemed as though the station itself was in a state of decay. "Keep your eyes peeled," Carter ordered, stepping out of the shuttle first. The team followed, weapons ready and senses alert. They had no idea what might await them inside, but they did know one thing. The shard had made their presence known in the galaxy, and now, it was time for Earth to finish what they had started. They moved through the wreckage, their steps echoing in the silent expanse. The station's corridors were narrow and winding, filled with strange machinery that seemed to hum with an eerie life of its own. The walls flickered with erratic light, and the air was thick with static, making it difficult to focus. "We're close," Dr. Mina O'Connor, the lead scientist, muttered. She held up a scanner that emitted a faint glow. "The central core should be just ahead. I'm reading intense energy signatures." The team pressed forward, knowing that the core was their only objective, but as they neared the heart of the station, a sudden pulse of energy rippled through the walls, knocking them off balance. "Ambush!" shouted Sergeant Lucas Ward, the team's lead combat specialist. A barrage of energy blasts erupted from the shadows. The shard had already anticipated their arrival. Automated defense drones, resembling twisted metallic versions of organic creatures, poured from hidden recesses, their glowing eyes focused on the intruders. Carter's team opened fire, the sharp sound of plasma shots filling the air. They fought with skill and precision, but it was clear that the station was alive with the shard's influence. Every surface, every structure seemed to shift and move as though it was part of the shard's network. "Keep moving," Carter shouted over the comms. "We have to get to the core, now." The final confrontation. As they reached the heart of the station, a massive chamber opened up before them. The core of the shard's network, a glowing nexus of energy, was suspended in the center of the room, surrounded by intricate, shifting tendrils of dark metal. The core thrummed with power, sending waves of distortion through the air. But before they could reach it, a figure emerged from the shadows, a humanoid entity, its body composed of a crystalline material that shimmered with an unsettling light. It was a construct, a physical representation of the shard itself. "You are too late," the being said, its voice hollow and metallic. "The shard is eternal. You cannot defeat what you do not understand." "Maybe not," Carter replied, steadying her weapon, "but we can stop you." With a flash of motion, the shard construct lunged at them, its limbs shifting and warping into blades of jagged energy. The team responded in kind, opening fire, but their weapons bounced harmlessly off the construct's crystalline form. It was impervious to their fire. "We have to get to the core," Dr. O'Connor shouted, her voice strained. "If we don't destroy it, the shard will take over every system in the galaxy." Carter's mind raced. She had no choice but to take a risk. "Ward, give me covering fire." "O'Connor, get to the core and shut it down." Sergeant Ward nodded, laying down a wall of suppressive fire as the others made a dash toward the center of the room. The construct pursued them, its body shifting to form new, deadly weapons with each attack. But Carter's determination never wavered. She kept moving toward the core, dodging the shard's strikes, feeling the very air tremble as the construct and the core pulsed with energy. In the final moments of the battle, as the team neared the core, Carter made her move. She lunged at the Nexus, using a nearby control panel to interface with the shard's system. The room shook with the sound of cracking metal as the station's energy network began to unravel. The construct screamed in fury as its connection to the core was severed. With a final push, Carter initiated the shutdown sequence, and the core flickered before going dark. For a brief moment, silence reigned. Then, the station began to collapse around them. Aftermath, a new dawn.